September 3rd, 1939. Nazi Germany attacked Poland, kicking off the start of World War II. December 7th, 1941. Pearl Harbor was bombed, and America decided to join the war efforts. In 1942, American troops arrived in Great Britain and joined in on the ongoing air raids across the continent of Europe. Throughout the span of the war, from 1939 to 1945, Europe's beautiful and priceless masterpieces were stolen, destroyed, and lost, adding the casualty of culture to the already horrific casualties of human life. Throughout World War II, German forces operated a very complex system in order to seize Jewish art collections and other works, usually privately owned, all across Europe. The Nazi Party's leading interest in art arose early on, and art confiscations began by 1938. Looting has long been recognized as one of the crimes committed by the Third Reich during World War II, a crime which stripped economic wealth and artistic treasures from the citizens that were terrorized by the Nazi Party. Adolf Hitler was a failed art student in Vienna. He wasn't a talented artist, yet he considered himself an arbitrator of art, and his many rejections by the art and architecture academies of Vienna fueled his anger. Therefore, after he came to power in Germany, he began to exercise influence in the culture war. Art was used during World War II to show dominance and destruction to one's identity. Art looting that had begun on an ideological basis became an organized government policy. For Nazi officers seeking social status and promotion within the party, collecting and giving art confirmed one's dedication to promoting Nazi racial ideologies in the Reich. It was the most successful way to emulate Hitler and Göring. During the Second World War, Adolf Hitler ordered that other nations' cultural property be obtained, often by force, and for the greater good of the state. However, the plunder and looting of art and other treasures was not limited to the Third Reich. The Soviet Red Army also participated, not as thoroughly and systematically as the Nazis, and not necessarily to climb the social ladder, but instead for war restitution. Hitler's goals were in fact both financially and culturally motivated. Hitler's plan was to enrich the Third Reich and its leaders with many cultural treasures. The looted artworks and treasures were hidden in many different locations across Europe's territories of war, from castles to barns and basements, and even in salt mines. Hitler also planned to sell looted art that did not reflect the Reich's ideal society. The Nazis purged so-called degenerate art from German public institutions. Artworks deemed degenerate by the Nazis included modern French and German artists in the areas of Cubism, Expressionism, and Impressionism. Hitler wanted new cultural and artistic creativity to arise in Germany, with the folk-related and race-conscious arts of Nazi culture replacing what he called the Jewish decadence. To the rescue of these cultural treasures came the Monuments Men. This was a special unit of Allied soldiers during World War II. Trading hush galleries and libraries for besieged European cities, the men and women of the Monuments Fine Art and Archives program risked their lives to protect museums, churches, and monuments from combat. They also tracked down and recovered thousands of priceless artworks stolen by the Nazis. The Monuments Men are known for legally stripping looted artwork from anyone with affiliation to the Nazi Party. Much like the Russian Trophy Brigade stripped Otto Krebs, a known member of the Nazi Party, of his artwork. There are no legal documents stating that Otto Krebs obtained his massive art collection with legal merit, and therefore we are unable to prove that Otto Krebs has legal ownership of the many masterpieces now sitting comfortably in the Hermitage Museum, including the Van Gogh's infamous White House at Night. The White House at Night was created in the beautiful rolling hills of Paris at Auvers-sur-Oise in the dusk of the June sun in 1890. In this painting, the motif of the home is the center of the artist's attention, and the emotional range expanded from gloomy foreboding to conciliation. This emotional expression by Van Gogh is a good measure of his personal psychological state. during his creation of The White House at Night. It is ironic because you can draw a clear parallel of the psychological state of Europe during World War II to the psychological state of Van Gogh through careful examination of his artwork, despite the span of 50 years separating both events. This post-impressionist oil painting was painted weeks before Van Gogh's death and is known for the heavy emotion depicted in the careful brushstrokes of warm colors across the canvas. According to the Hermitage Museum, the painting expresses the great psychological pressure in which Van Gogh found himself. Two of the windows, considered the eyes of a home, are rendered with alarming red splashes, while the star, a sign of fate, is seen as symbolic of Van Gogh's grief. As reported on in the New York Times, The White House at Night resurfaced along with 74 other paintings, all French Impressionists or Post-Impressionists, on the wall of the Hermitage Museum in the exhibit Hidden Treasures Revealed. They went on exhibit for the first time in October 1995 after being hidden in the museum's basement for half a century. As the end of World War II quickly approached in August of 1945, three of the Allies, the United Kingdom, the United States, and the Soviet Union, agreed upon what is known as the Potsdam Agreement. This agreement was concerned with reconstruction of Germany, its borders, and the entire European theater of war territory. However, laws regarding looted artwork and their restitution is not a topic of the Potsdam Agreement. Therefore, the legality of ownership regarding many art pieces on display at the Hermitage is up in the air. Without claims of cultural or family ownership of these pieces, the Hermitage has every right to display the pieces as their own. The proper documents to prove that Otto Krebs became in possession of the White House at Night legally, and following its removal from Otto Krebs' estate in 1949 by the Soviet Army, who used the Holzdorf estate as the residence of their high-ranked officials during the end of the war once the American Army liberated the German state Thuringia. A large part of the stolen art is still missing. Museums are frequently faced with restitution claims. Due to the lack of proper laws, documentation, and frankly no one coming forward to claim the White House at Night, its proper place is at the Hermitage Museum. The White House at Night was in the possession of Otto Krebs, an elitist and known member of the Nazi Party. The masterpiece was obtained by the Russian Trophy Brigade from his estate in Holzdorf. The monument's men spent the span of World War II legally stripping Nazis of looted artwork. Therefore, the many masterpieces that the known Nazi affiliate showcased on the wall of his estate has every right to be claimed by the Hermitage Museum, including Van Gogh's iconic White House at Night. This specific masterpiece belongs to the public and is taking its rightful place on the wall of a well-known museum in an exquisite exhibit where it is properly honored and presented to the people. Because if art and culture has any owner, it is the people of the public that own it.